Well, greetings, folks, and welcome to this interview today with a wonderful author and a good friend, Dorothy Greet, author of Go Veg. Now, there's a subtitle, Dorothy. What's the subtitle of this book, Go Veg?
With class.
With class? Why Go Veg with class? Let's just stop there. And what does this mean, this title, Go Veg with class? And what's the book about?
Well, okay. The Go Veg part is pretty obvious. I'm urging people to have a look at vegetables and what it means to go plant-based. And I wrote a blog for 10 years before this book even came into being. And I've been teaching classes. And so when I was been teaching classes for 10 years as well. So when I was looking for a title for a book, I thought, I could have a little fun with this title. And I've been teaching some really classy people over the years.
So class
So
could refer to classy people, could refer to courses, classes you teach.
that's right. Yeah.
Dorothy,
So,
why are you so excited about plant-based eating and how did you get involved in the first place?
well, back in 2010, when I was a young 70 years old, that's 15 years ago.
Wow.
I know. I was living the good life with my husband. We were going out to all the fantastic restaurants here in Lewis, Delaware, where this is a mecca for good eating. And I had a heart attack, and I was just 70 years old, but I had a history of heart attacks in my family. My father had died at 52 of a heart attack, and an older brother had died at 69. And my two younger brothers had suffered cardiovascular events. And I thought, oh dear, it's my time and it's the end. And very fortunate for me, I recovered with lots of good care, went through rehab, and I was still worried because I had high blood pressure and I was a little overweight. So my husband and I started looking around for how I could control my family history of cardiovascular disease. And wouldn't you know, we found out that people all around the world were changing their diets to plant-based eating and they were recovering from their cardiovascular disease. They were lowering their blood pressure and their weight uh, by dietary change. And so we started reading and visiting experts and going to conferences. And I took a course from Cornell on plant-based nutrition and got certification. And we, of course, changed our diet. Actually, we did it overnight. Now, I've got to tell you, my husband was 80 years old and I was 70. And it's a big deal to change your diet when you're that late in life or at any time in life. And we had such phenomenal results that we were both just beside ourselves with joy. I can't tell you how exciting it was to have our blood pressure drop to within normal ranges, drop medications, be so full of energy and lose all the pain in our elbows and our knees and all our joints. We felt, both of us, my 80-year-old husband and my 70-year-old self, we were just amazed at the changes in our life, our health, our well-being, and I couldn't keep my mouth shut. I just had to tell everybody about it. And people said, well, why don't you teach a class? Why don't you tell us how to do this? And so that's how this all started. Back in 1970, yes, it was in 2010 when I started this project changed our diets, and we told everyone who would listen what an amazing adventure this was. And after 10 years of teaching, I had lots of material on other people who were changing their diets and were had such good results. So and the Cape Gazette, which is our local paper, asked me to do a blog, and that was been an amazing experience over the last 10 or so years. And so this book came into being. At first, I thought I would just put a book together to show my family, to have a record for my family to see what this journey was like. And then it just kind of blossomed into a full-fledged book with 7 chapters on our journey. I talked about the personal pieces and the classes that I taught. And I had a chapter on the luminaries. I was meeting people all around the country who are well known in medical doctors who are really quite amazing and well known in the field of plant-based nutrition. And so this book came together quite amazingly. And then, of course, we had a launch here, a launch of my book uh, at the local public library, and it was full of people from my classes. It was a wonderful evening of celebration. And what do you know? People bought my book, and this was quite exciting. So this has been an amazing journey, and it continues. I continue to host. I work closely with Veg Rehoboth here in southern Delaware, and I host potluck suppers in my house once a month, and I get 15 to 20 people every month, and we celebrate plant-based eating, and then we spread the word and tell everybody we can what an amazing adventure this is. And then, of course, I let people know that this is not just about personal health. Along the way, we've learned that animals suffer terrifically. The farm factory farmed animals all over this country, especially here in Delaware. We're the chicken provider for the world. And we have these chicken factories, caged chicken factories all over Delaware, and they're causing all kinds of problems. Are the That not only are they suffering, the animals are suffering, but they're presenting problems for land and water waste and air pollution. And people's wells are being polluted with chicken waste. It's quite a startling problem. And so not only are people suffering from the health effects of eating animals, but the animals themselves are suffering terribly. And when my husband
Dorothy,
learned,
go ahead.
yeah, when my husband learned that he didn't have to eat animals in order to get all the protein he needed, he could get everything he needed from plants, and so could I. So can anyone. We get all the protein we need from plants, so we don't have to eat animals. And then we learned that animal agriculture is terrifically destructive all around the world. The latest news we know is that the rainforests in South America are being destroyed to make room for grazing and for cattle food and cattle grazing. Uh, where the latest figures I've seen are that 87% of greenhouse gases are directly related to the animal agriculture business. And so that's not necessary. We don't need to eat animals. We don't need to raise animals. We don't need for animals to suffer in order for humans to be healthy, to be well, and for us to live in harmony with animals. And so we see this as a three-pronged problem that could easily be solved by people changing their diets to plant-based and not demanding animal protein in their diets. So when I do my teaching and when I do my writing, I make sure that people understand the connection between our demand for animal products in our diets and what's happening in the world around us. And do you know it's related to this climate change that we're experiencing now? This tremendous heat that we're suffering from because it's related to the greenhouse gases that are directly connected to animal agriculture. So it's a real problem, and it could be alleviated tremendously by dietary change. It's quite startling to know that what's on our plate affects our human health, our global health. And
Dorothy, if it's a multi-pronged problem, you also have addressed it in a multi-pronged way. So you have this book, which I must say is full of delightful recipes for our readers. It's got stories of your grandchildren, and it illustrates that you've taken this to a level that is holistic and not just dietary. And it's also holistic in that it addresses lots of other issues like global climate change, lack of community that we experience in the world. And so it's a multi-pronged problem, but you've addressed with a multi-pronged solution. Now, were you at the front end of this movement, or where would you say you were looking back, the plant-based movement, and where are you now relative to where the movement is going?
well, the movement is a global movement, and friends of mine who travel in Europe. I haven't been to Europe recently, but friends say that it's much easier to find plant-based and vegan restaurants everywhere, every city they go to. It's a little harder here in the United States. We're a little bit behind. Um, However, it's a vibrant movement in that the medical community is finally catching on, and so let me tell you the uh, it has its roots. Its roots go far back. There many people have understood this connection, but it has not been picked up because it's not profitable for the animal agriculture business to stop producing meat. It's not profitable for hospitals or doctors to stop to heal all their for healing to take place in all their cardiovascular patients. So there's a tremendous amount of resistance. But in 2010, uh, uh, our friend Dean Ornish, Dr. Dean Ornish, um, um, it was around 2010 when I had my heart attack. He was um, Dr. Dean Ornish was the medical consultant to Bill Clinton in the White House, and he's been a medical consultant to other presidents as well. And T. Colin Campbell is the who we call the father of the plant-based movement, and he's from nutritional biochemist at Cornell, and he's the writer of the China Study. And that book was published in 2006. And so we kind of look at the early 2000s as the beginning of the plant-based movement, when people began to understand the connections between our food choice and our health, and food choice and global climate change. So we're about 20 years into it. And I didn't catch on until 2010. So I was midway or in the early stages. And now I know many of the movers and shakers around the world, and I've met a lot of them. And in fact, many of these folks are quite well known through films. There's a famous film called Forks Over Knives, and that film introduced the world to T. Colin Campbell and Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, and to Ruth Heydrich, the runner from Hawaii. So these are people who, in many communities, are household names, and I've met many of them, and they've been very influential in my life. And I've even endorsed their books, and talked to them, met them personally. And Dr. Will Tuttle, who wrote The World Peace Diet, I've hosted him in my house. So I've gotten to know a lot of these people who are introducing us to what happens with food choice, the impact on health, the impact on the environment, the impact on animals. And I I'm not a mover and shaker except in my own community.
And
But
many of these folks have endorsed your book. And how can people find out more about what you're doing? Do you have a website? They can order the book. How do they get information about what you're doing, Dorothy?
Well, my book is on Amazon, and of course, it's available locally in local bookstores here in southern Delaware. But it's available on Amazon. The name of the book is Go Veg with Class, and I have a website called Go Veg with Class .com. And uh, I I teach classes right here locally, so but I know I'm talking to a broader community, and broader communities might also be interested in my the course I have written and produced, and that is called Journey to Wellness, and that's available on my website, Go Veg with Class. I have an online program called Journey to Wellness, and the University of Delaware has adopted it for their OSHA Lifelong Learning as an on-demand course, and that's available for the public as well on my website.
Dorothy, thank you for being with us today. This has been a delightful interview, and you're always delightful to speak with and to hear the energy and joy, but also the deep concern you have about our failure to address the issues that are important to you and to the planet. So, listeners and readers and audience, I want to encourage you to go to the website, goveg.com, pick up the book, Go Veg, and we'll keep track of what Dorothy's doing in the future. Thank you. And thank you, Dorothy, so much for being with us today.
Thank you. It's my honor. Okay.